So, some of you guys may have seen some of my pixelated mods that I did recently. Haven't updated them to Game Banana, but I've been posting them all over the place, so wouldn't surprise me if you saw me spam it somewhere. Anyway, I had a lot of people wondering how I was able to create this type of mod and also have it be color swappable and everything without, sitting there and taking hours doing dot by dot by dot by dot, which is definitely not what I did, by the way. So yeah, I was just gonna make a quick tutorial showing you how you can take like already, existing sprites. I mean, you could make your own sprites if you wanted to, but generate shapes for skins from sprite sheets or other sprites or other existing materials. So yeah, just gonna get right into it. I'm assuming you already have the basics of modding, such as like JPEGs and how to get it into the game, how to save and save as SVG format and all that. So I'm not teaching the basics, it's more so just how to use the sprites and create skins out of them. So first things first, you're gonna wanna obviously decide what sprites you want to use to create your skin, what you want to turn the skin into. And there's tons of ways you could do that. One easy way is just going to thespritersresource.com and finding your game, whatever it may be, and then they often will have lots of resources, lots of different ones. I've already made skins out of several of these, but yeah, so basically just find whatever sheet, whatever you will not need 90% of this, but in my opinion, it's good just to have it, because you never know when you might need some random element from just one of these random, poses or whatever, like, say you take it from here, or like, the way this leg looks, or this arm, or whatever. So you don't necessarily need all of these, but you will want a certain number of them just so that you have access to all the different shapes. So like, for example, you can see here, this one has the back of the head, torso 2 back, shin back. You could get a lot of the back facing shapes off of this one sprite, but you're gonna need a back facing one, a front facing one, yada yada, all the basic components of a skin you're gonna want to have access to, or you'll otherwise have to generate those shapes from something, basically. So anyway, once you get your sprite sheet that you've chosen to use, go ahead, and you can do it in Photoshop or Illustrator, whatever, but you'll have to chop it up into smaller pieces so that you can then convert it into your shapes or whatever. So you can see right here on the side, I've already got 2 cut out or whatever. But basically, to do that, what I do, you could do it in Photoshop and it's a little bit easier, but then you have to run 2 programs, so that's up to you. But if you want to do it strictly all inside Illustrator, to create a clipping mask and choose a part of the sprite that you want, basically, let's see, I don't know which one I really need, I can just choose one, I guess. I'll just choose her leg here, just for example's sake. So I'm just creating a box. It doesn't have a color, but it can be a color, it doesn't matter because you won't see it. Actually, let me back up, let me copy this. Made a copy of it just so I don't lose my original. So yeah, I'm just going to create a box, and then I'm going to shift click both of these and make clipping mask, and you'll see I have just that thing there. Let's see what happens if I just rasterize this as is. Yeah, so that's not as good, so you don't want to do that. What you want to do, this is a weird roundabout method, but change the transparency to darken, go to object, flatten transparency, make sure this is on 100, it doesn't really matter all that much, preserve alpha transparency, and then hit OK, and then you're going to ungroup here, release the clipping mask, and then click back onto it again and release a second clipping mask. And so now, let's see, yeah, there's random clipping mask is still there, but now you just have this. And from here, you don't have to rasterize it, you can just use this. But anyway, so I'm not going to use that one right now for the example, but that's how you generate it. So once you've done that part and you have your shape that you want to do, which I'm going to use this one here. So what I'm going to do is create object mosaic. This is pretty much the key to the whole process here. So it gives you these numbers here, and what you're going to want to do is make the tiles match the same as the width and height, basically, and that's going to generate like 1 pixel per, like 1 square per pixel, basically 1-to-1 ratio, more or less. I'm going to click delete raster here. You don't have to, but it just gets rid of this base image basically when it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. You see it took a little second there, and then it popped up, and now you'll see all of these are in squares. So right now they'll all be grouped together, so what I'm going to do is ungroup them, and then first things first, get rid of this random background blue color, select similar objects. It's going to select everything that's that blue color, which none of the colors in your actual shape will be, or in your actual sprite should be that background color, so it should just easily cut all of those out. And now you can see I'm left with just a pixelated, what is this, clicking mask, just a pixelated version of my original sprite, and it's all like, I can customize it. It's all SVG, it's all vectors, so I can make it big. I can easily change the color, for example, select all, so now I've got all of the red, and now I can just make her thing green, whatever, it's that simple. And keep going, and make it a more darker green, make I can palette swap from here the entire thing basically to my liking. Now she has a green thing. But anyway, so that is how it goes from the actual sprite sheet to editable in vector vector software, more or less. You don't have to do this in Illustrator. Well, the thing is, create object mosaic, I haven't found an alternative for Inkscape or other software, so you may have to do that part in Illustrator. I don't know. If you can find a way to replicate this effect somewhere else, then that's up to you. But I use Illustrator, and I suggest using Illustrator just because it's made very easy for you. So anyway, from here, obviously I can't just like slap this into JPEGs and call it a day. So you will have to do some, cleaning up, whatever, taking out unwanted shapes, for example. Using that select all thing that I showed you at the beginning, this right here, select similar objects, and you can change the different things, but I just do all, and make sure that everything that is exactly the same as this shape or this color or whatever will get selected. So I could probably even just do it on these wings right here, bang, easy. So anyway, yeah, so you just clean up your shape. In this case, I want to do it for her. I'm going to use this as the jaw, and I'm also going to just include the hair on the jaw shape. So what I'm going to do is clean up everything except the hair and her face, basically, and then I'm gonna take out the eyes, because those will be separate so that they can animate just like normal, expressions in the game. So I don't think I'll do the whole skin in this video, but I'll show you how you can get from point A to point B, and you'll just replicate this process for each part of the skin. So anyway, yeah, so there now I just have her head isolated with the eyes. If you didn't want animated emotions, you could just leave the eyes in, but that's not the case. I think it's more, it just feels more like a proper skin mod if you have all the expressions and all that in there. And generally speaking, when you have those large sprite sheets like the one I showed you, it's very easy to find examples of each different expression, so it's not like you have to do a lot of manual drawing of shapes and stuff. That's her hair, I believe. Yeah, so. And you can kind of use your own judgment on how the shapes, go in and how you do everything. If you have any background in pixel work, then it certainly comes in handy here. But it's really not necessary. You could do it pretty easily, just on your own. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, just trying to just do this quickly. I might end up cutting it out when I edit it. We'll see. Okay, so that's a pretty good start for just the head shape and the jaw shape, basically. So next, you're gonna want to have the base skin that you are intending to go over, and I mean, choosing which one you want to do is completely up to you. If you want it to color swap or be accurate to the original one, then you try to find ones that have a similar color palette to the base one that you're working on. So for this one in particular, I'm using a Volkov skin because it has a lot of the same kind of colors. This red and these purples I think are going to be a good match for my character here. She's got like these purples and the reds. So anyway, so you want to get all of the shapes for the character that you intend to do, however you want to do that. I use Epic's Ninja's Smart Sprite tool, which you can find in the Brawlhalla Discord. I highly recommend it. It's super useful, super handy to get all the shapes all at once. So anyway, here is the base jaw for the skin that I'm using. I'm just going to lock it in place, hide it, and whatever, just so it's there, but I'm not obviously going to be using it. So I'm going to copy the one that we already isolated with the face and just slap it on in there. And now what I like to do usually is I'll just group it for right now, is reduce the opacity on it and resize it until it looks, approximately like, about the same kind of shape or size. It's not going to be exact, just because obviously these the anatomy and everything of my base material is not really the same as how Brawlhalla's art style is. And you also have to keep in mind in this particular case, since I'm using the hair and the jaw all at once, it's going to be bigger than the base one, because obviously I'm putting more information in it at the same time. So this looks alright. It might be a tad too large, so I'm going to size it down just a little. Just to compensate for the hat, the hair, and everything. I'm just trying to estimate, about what size it should be. So I'm going to go with that for right now. It might be way too big, I'm not really sure how it's going to work out. And it will be a little bit different, it is quite different than your traditional skin mod, so I'm going to go ahead and just increase my artboards, because obviously you're going to have to update bounds for this. You can do it if you want. I mean, this is just my personal preference. This is not necessarily like the guide or whatever as far as that goes. You can do all the shapes separate. Like if you want the hair separate, the eyes separate, the mouth separate, all that good stuff, you can do everything separate too. It's not like you can't do it. I just do it this way to make it easier for me to place everything later. But it's personal preference, really. The other way, you have to make more shapes, but you probably have to make less adjustments. My way, I have to make a lot more adjustments, but I just have less shapes to work with, so that's up to you. The way I'm doing it here is just doing it all at once. You can use the same techniques and everything to do everything, and just do each shape separately instead of how I'm doing it, basically. Anyway, gonna hide the artboards there so we can just see it without the box. So yeah, that's what we're working with right now. It looks pretty good. So in order to start like recoloring this and making it color swappable and just easier, less individual shapes, what I'm going to do is go ahead and using that same thing I showed earlier, select similar and just choose all of those, and I'm going to use the Pathfinder to just merge them together. So now they're just one single shape all together. There will be instances where you have similar elements that are the same color that you don't want merged together. Like say for example, if the eyes were on here, like you want this part to stay black, but I want this part to be, whatever. So you can change which parts you merge together, but this generally just makes it easier for me to know which colors are supposed to be the same, and also like just quickly change all of it at once as far as color swapping instead of having to do, you know, each individual thing. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and do all of that. So like, see for example here, like all of these are the same purple as this color, but perhaps I don't want these grouped with that one, you know, so I can go ahead and like uncheck these ones and then merge these so they're their own thing, and then I can go ahead and do the same thing, then uncheck this whole thing so it's just these are isolated. So now if I want these to be bright green, you know, these can be a different color, no problem. So again, that's up to you, and it's just as you go along, you can choose how you want to do it. Same thing here. I guess I'll go ahead and do it on this too, just in case. So you don't have to end up, you can always cut out the shapes, like you can ungroup them basically later on. So it's not like they're permanently fused for life or anything, but this just helps me, you know, keep them orderly, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's done. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go through on every single individual like color and make sure that they're all kind of grouped together like that. Oops. What did I just do? There we go. I clicked the wrong thing. Don't click that, everybody. Clicked it again. Okay, let's see. Control A to see, and we still have a couple individual colors that are not merged. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear those up. You can tell if they're not because, like, if they have individual lines in them, like these do, versus these are all solid. There we go. So now everything is kind of in its own little individual groups or colors or whatever. And so then we will begin with the recoloring aspect of it. So typically how I do it is I find a couple of the shapes that have a good representation of your colors in them, and I just slap them in right now for just for reference. Let's see, purples. I mean, and there's other ways to see which colors you have available to you, but this is just how I do it on the fly. Grab this one too. And yeah, if you use it directly from the source material, then you won't have to worry about getting the right, like, you know, color codes or whatever, because it's going to be exactly the same as the original. Alright, so I think this should be enough. Hopefully it's enough. We'll see. Anyway, alright, so right off the bat, so there's a couple different reds. I guess this one can be this darkest color red. And then this one. Looks kind of funny. Actually, it's alright now that I look at it. Let's see here. And also, you don't have to make a color swap. If you just want the base colors of whatever your original thing is, you could just use this, you know. Or you could just change, like, just the hair to swap. Or, like, say I could leave it, stop here, and only this little red part changes, and the rest of her stays the same. It's up to you. I like to make them swap just for more variety in game, but it's definitely personal preference. Did I actually forget these? Yes, I did. I didn't notice those. Whoops. What colors? What colors? Not sure if I'm gonna have enough range with this palette that I'm trying to use here. It's not quite as purple as I had hoped. I'm not sure how these colors work together necessarily either, so not sure it's gonna work as I originally had hoped. And that happens often. You have to kind of make some sacrifices or otherwise kind of figure it out, because it doesn't always work out how you might think as far as colors go. Do I make her hair this color? Hair, that kind of works for the hair. Even though I'm kind of lacking a lighter color for this part. Could try something like this. Something like this to simulate the highlights. Could work, might not work at the same time. Could also try like something like that. I guess I did miss a couple colors earlier. Just like a couple individual pixels, really, nothing crazy. Okay, that could work. We'll see how that works. Now for that hat, I could just leave it, but it feels like not the correct play. Okay, that's good enough for now. These over here. I just like to keep them on hand. Just do this. Good to go there, so that's our first shape. Now I'm going to just do the face basically, and I think that's all I'll show. It's pretty much the main two things you'll have to do for the whole skin, more or less. So yeah, let's go ahead and open up his eyes. And again, this is just how I'm doing it. You do not have to follow this step by step necessarily, but so I'm going to save a blank shape, and I'm going to replace all of his mouths with this shape, and then I'm going to put his eyes and his mouth, like her face on the eyes only, basically. So anyway, there's the eyes, and now going back to my original, want to find a good base for the eyes and face, basically, which is going to be that second shape I have down here. And flatten, ungroup, release, release. Let's just see what happens if I do it on this. Yeah, I think I can use that. So sometimes you'll see that it doesn't go pixel perfect depending on how it's cut or whatever. So if you need to, let's see, for example, like if I were to shrink it like that and then do it, no, I'd say that looks considerably worse. Alternatively, if you go bigger, wait, is there still something here? Yeah, let's try it again. Let's see. Just depends how much like detail you want, and that actually might be better. Let me see. Nah. I think it was perfect here. Maybe not perfect, but good enough. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and ungroup them. So in this case, I literally just want the eyes and the mouth. So what I'm going to do is grab this. And yeah, so I'm just isolating her expression basically. I think I could rock with that. I'm gonna make this like a slightly more pinkish kind of. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Put it there. And then the same as last time, I'm going to kind of line it up to look approximately the same size. Just so, you know, it will be kind of in scale to this jaw, you know, like we did earlier, basically. Looks like I'm gonna have to rotate it a bit just to make it actually fit with how Brawl does faces, basically. Something like that. Perhaps. Maybe down just a bit. Something like that. It looks alright. Go ahead and resize the artboard. And again, you will have to update the bounds for these since I am just doing them all in one big shape. If you wanted to make them all individually, you could also choose that route, but that's up to you, really. Depends on what you want to do. Anyway, so go ahead and ungroup, and we're going to do the same process like I did before, where I select all, you know, and group them. In this case, I'm going to take out these since they are the eyebrows, and this is the eye itself, I guess you could say. I'm also going to unselect the iris just in case. So that'll be its own thing. This will be its own. This. Same kind of thing, grouping everything together just to make it easier for you to change the colors later. Get rid of everything else, delete the original, and there we have it. There's our first eyes. So save that. Okay, good to go. Let's leave that there for now. Go ahead and hop into JPEGs, and you're gonna want to find, you know, whichever skin you're going over, basically. It's this one, right? Yeah, this isn't really a tutorial on how to do bounds, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that just so I have access to it, basically. Sorry about that. Place, update bounds. Go find my shapes I just created. There we are. Go ahead and update the bounds. Okay, there's the first one. I need to go through and find all the mouths for this skin, and I need to replace them all the way. Just get them out. Yo. Smile. Okay. Alright. So the mouths are gone. Now I need eyes. Same as before. Get this information so I can update the bounds. Place update bounds, get my eyeballs, and go ahead and fix the bounds there. And these might not be perfect on the first go just because we are changing up the facial structure quite a bit, but we'll go ahead and start with the defaults and see how those do for us. Oh yeah, and so I also need to make the hair a blank shape as well. There we go. Go ahead and save that, and we should be good to try it out in the game. Alright, so we're gonna go test it in the game. I believe that's an exclusive skin, so I probably can't do it in training room. So we'll just come to the good old render tool. And yeah, looks like we are a bit off there. Oops. Yeah, nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that real quickly. Alright, overshot it a bit there. And I can tell I was going to my I feel like I may have to try more. Go straight and see. Close. I think I just lowered the jaw. And pull the eyes back a bit. Okay, so that's pretty close. It could be a matter of making the eyes bigger, which is probably the right call. But it could also be a matter of making the heads a little bit smaller. I think in this case, though, to stay true to Brawlhalla's size, I would make the eyes bigger in this particular case. Make it more anime, and also help reposition the mouth lower on the face a bit. You could also obviously move it yourself, but I like to try to stay true to the base material as well. So I try not to like rearrange their facial features and stuff too much. That's just my personal preference. You can do it however you choose. But so yeah, let's also see if it color swaps, and it does. Not sure if I'm a fan of this color configuration, but you can see that it does work. Some of them look pretty cool, and some of them don't. Yeah, so you can see I got like the weird accent color there on the beanie, or the beret. But on some of them it works pretty well. So yeah, definitely have to rearrange the colors there, but you can see how I just took, went from a Sprite to a skin that color swaps pretty quickly. So yeah, that's really the basics of it, and show you on Mako what a completed skin looks like. All my other ones are outdated at the moment. But yeah, obviously I didn't change the hands. Those are a bit difficult to do, and I've never even done it because it's just too much. But yeah, you can see fully color swappable. Yep, got all the animations, got all the expressions, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and show it real quick, just cause I haven't released this or anything yet. Let's see, she has facial expressions, all that. Yeah, all that good stuff. Can go on the ground. Anyway, that's just for this character. But obviously, like I said, you can do the entire skin, basically all pixelated, all sprite work, and convert it with the object mosaic tool on Illustrator and generate skins from that. So as long as you have good source material, you can pretty much turn any sprite or like pixel art into a skin if you really want to. So yeah, hopefully that's been a informative enough tutorial. Like I said, you will probably need Illustrator. I've looked and I have not found workarounds or like alternative ways to do it with Inkscape or other software. So if someone figures out how to do that, then you can do it that way as well. But for now, this is how I do it and how I did it for all those skins that I made that were never released, but maybe one day they will be released. Anyway, yeah, so it's Madzen Pixel Sprite mod tutorial. Hopefully it helped. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, all that good stuff, Thanks, and yeah, peace out.